students, welcome to the lecture on tourist product, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Define the tourism product, discuss the attraction, tourist destination or places and tourist spots, explain the religion-based attraction, understand the wildlife sanctuaries, explain the facilities. Let's start with the concept of tourist product. The tourist attraction of a country are scenic beauty, historical monuments, rivers, lakes, parks, mountains, beaches, forests, wildlife, flora and fauna, climate, food and shopping. Tourists come to see and enjoy what a country can offer. Together, all the elements mentioned above comprise the tourism assets or resources of a country. When these are packaged, the experts call it the tourism product of a country. After all, this is a product a visitor wants to buy. Like manufactured products, the tourism product too has a lot of variety. You can package it in many interesting ways as preferred or demanded by the customers. It may be a holiday on the beaches, a peep into a country spas, a mountain vacation, wildlife viewing or a shopping tour. The visitors have several options and combination of options at different price ranges. Let us now discuss the meaning or concept of tourist product. Travel and tourism products have a number of characteristics which are of relevance to the way in which they are managed. These characteristics are discussed in the following section. While some of these features are common to all service products, some other characteristics are unique to travel and tourism products. Factors influencing tourism product. There are a number of factors which make services different from physical goods. These distinguishing factors are intangibility. Services cannot usually be seen, touched, smelled, tasted, tried on for size or stored on a shelf prior to purchase. Their intangibility makes them harder to buy but easier to deal out. The fact that the tourism product is not a physical object but an amalgam of invisible services does create certain problems for organizations operating in the sector. Overcome this intangibility. Tour operators sometimes attempt to create some form of tangible offering that potential customer can relate to. With the growth in the home ownership of video recorders and computers, for example, tour operators and destination are now able to record the features of their holidays on video or make them available on the internet for a home viewing by potential customers. Perishability. Since production and consumption are simultaneous, services are instantly perishable if they have not been sold at the time of the production. The empty train seat, the empty hotel bed or the unsold holiday all represent lost opportunities. There are lost sales that can never be recovered. Empty hotel rooms cannot be stored for when demand increases. Unlike manufacturers of goods, they cannot just keep on producing services and store them for future sales, and striking the correct balance between capacity and sales, supply and demand is extremely difficult. Ownership. When a customer buys a manufactured product, there will usually be a document such as a receipt which transfers ownership from seller to buyer. When a consumer buys a service, he or she does not usually receive ownership of anything tangible. A car is hired but ownership is not transferred. A hotel room is reserved for a period of time but nothing is ever owned by the customer. Components of tourist products. There are several types of components in tourists. Number one is tours. Tours and the characteristic is closely linked to the motivation tourist. Motivation or purpose of a visit is usually holiday or vacation, including a visit with friends and relations, meetings and conferences including other business activities, health and sports, religion and culture, special interests including study tours, etc. Tours can be within national boundaries or in any place in the world, such as a decision will have an impact on the economy of both the country of origin and the tourist. Destination site. Packages and tour operators. A package can be defined as a pre-arranged combination sold or offered for sales at an inclusive price of not less than two of the following three elements: transport, accommodation, other tourist services not ancillary to transport or accommodation and accounting for a significant part of the package. The growth of the package has been a major cause of the increase in the holiday market since the 1950s. Consumer capacity, occupancy for accommodation. In travel and tourism, capacity refers to the number of people that can be accommodated in a hotel, aircraft, bun, resort, etc. It may be, for example, that a hotel has a capacity of 300 and an aircraft might be able to accommodate 130. The important, however, is how much of the capacity is actually used at any time. This is the occupancy rate for accommodation or the load factor for transportation. Tourist product knowledge. To work efficiently with the business client, the hotel and the travel agent must assume quite a different role compared to dealing with vacation clients. In this case, arrangement would often be made at a very short notice and requirements have to be met with minimum flexibility. For example, a flight which is not available on the requested date may jeopardize the client's attendance at a predetermined meeting. The meeting cannot be changed because other participants are involved or because a subsequent or preceding meeting in another city has already been scheduled. By the same token, the business traveler may have to change a reservation in a hotel for instances beyond one's control. As a result, the entire itinerary may have to be revised, including transport and hotel reservations and new tickets issued. Now moving on to the next topic, we will study the attraction tourist destination or places and tourist spots. Heritage and historical tourist spots. From time since immemorial, India has been considered to be a land with rich cultural heritage. Centuries after centuries, this country has seen rulers like Rajputs, Mughals, English and Portuguese. Besides, various religions also flourish at different times in this country like Buddhism, Jainism, etc. All these factors have played their role in making an impact on the culture of this country. One can find the traces of different cultures in music, dance, architecture, festivities, languages spoken, traditional beliefs and customs, food and many more like these. It is the development in these aspects of life that makes the heritage of India one of the most vibrant and most exhaustive. According to the Wheeler and Hole culture, heritage and the arts have long contributed to appeal of tourist destination. However, in recent years, culture has been rediscovered as an important marketing tool to attract those travelers with special interest in heritage and arts. According to the Holland's Head, cultural heritage tourism defines as cultural heritage tourism is the fastest growing segment of the tourism industry because there is a trend toward an increased specialization among tourists. Hindus form the majority of Maharashtra populations and the culture of Maharashtra reflects that. There are many temples in Maharashtra, some of them being hundreds of years old. These temples are constructed in a fusion of architectural styles borrowed from North and South India. The temples also blend themes from Hindu, Buddhist and Jain cultures. Delhi. Known in India as the Lotus Temple, the Baha'i house of worship is one of the most famous landmarks in Delhi. Delhi is the capital of India. A fine blend of old and new, ancient and modern in every stream of life is the soul of Delhi. A melting pot of cultures, religions and castes makes Delhi a diverse place. Delhi has been the capital of India from the mythological days. The rulers left behind their trademarks in the architecture. The Tughlaqabad Fort and the Qutub Minar, the Jama Masjid and the Lotus Temple, the Humayun tombs and the Red Fort and India Gate and the magnificent President House. Goa. The sunny beaches of Goa attract millions of tourists every year. Goa is another popular destination, famous for its excellent beaches, churches and temples. Goa is a tiny state on the west coast of India, situated between the borders of Maharashtra and Karnataka, and better known to the world as the former Portuguese enclave of Indian soil. Jammu and Kashmir. The Manasbal Lake near Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, is 2,000 meters above sea level. Tourist destinations in Jammu and Kashmir include Srinagar, Jammu, Leh, Amarnath, Vaishno Devi. Other cities of interest in northern India include Gwalior, Khajuraho, Varanasi, Mathura and Haridwar. Kerala. Kerala, nicknamed as God's own country, is one of the most beautiful states in southern India. Shown here is Munnar in Kerala. Kerala is an evergreen lush state tucked away in the southern corner of India. It is one of the most visited states in India. The state has its own tourism brand named God's Own Country, which has super brand status. The state was named as one of the 10 paradises of the world by the National Geographic traveler, the only other Indian place listed being the Taj Mahal. Orissa. Orissa has been a preferred destination from ancient days for people having interest in spirituality, religion, culture, art, and natural beauty. Ancient and medieval architecture, pristine sea beaches, nature at her beautiful best, classical and ethnic dance forms, and a variety of festivals, all in combined, attract tourists from far off places to explore this state to have a divine exposure of love and hospitality. Orissa has kept alive Buddhism and the Buddha in its ancient womb. Taj Mahal. Perhaps India's best known site is the Taj Mahal, one of the world's greatest architectural achievements. Located in Agra, it was built between 1631 and 1653 by Emperor Shah Jahan in honor of his wife Arjumand Banu, more popularly known as Mumtaz Mahal. The Taj Mahal served as her tomb.
What makes the Philippines more than the usual holiday destination? Some say when the gods created a Philippine island, they liked it so much, they decided to create 7,000 more. That meant having over 7,000 different views of the sun. And many different beaches, like Boracay, which is probably unlike anywhere you've ever been. They say the gods took their time when they made this paradise. Having thousands of islands also meant that our wildlife and marine life are among the most diverse in the world. Even our history comes in many chapters. Each one with a different theme. Our colors come in infinite forms. And our melting pot of cultures contain more than the usual ingredients. So you can expect more than the usual festivals every year. We're Oriental, and we're Western too. That's why no matter where you're from, the Philippines will feel like home.
Let's know the meaning of religion-based attraction, fairs and festivals. Bring together 1 billion people speaking more than 1,000 languages, following some half a dozen different religions and born by countless traditions, and what will you get? India, A land so amazingly diverse that it's really more a continent by itself than just a single country. India's diversity reveals itself in many forms in cuisine, clothing, language, arts and crafts and festivals. And in a land as vast and complex as India, it would hardly be an exaggeration to say that every day is a holiday. Lori. Lori marks the end of the harvest in northern India and is characterized by the worship of fire. Bonfires are lit in the evening, whether in individual households or in communities, and grand in the form of peanuts, popcorn, puffed rice and similar goodies is ceremonically fed to the fire. What follows, of course, is plenty of feeding of everybody around as well. Lori celebrations are never complete without music and dancing, and the feasting is invariably rounded off with a vigorous bit of shake a leg. Makar Shankranti. Makar Shankranti marks the end of winter, when the sun moves into the northern hemisphere, thus symbolizing regeneration and the start of a new period. Eid-ul-Juha. Also known as Bakrid or Eid-ul-Adha, the festival of Eid-ul-Zuha is one of the most important in the Muslim calendar. Observed on the 10th day of the 12th month in the Muslim calendar, usually in mid or late February, Eid-ul-Zuha derives its significance from the story of the Prophet Ibrahim, who did not hesitate to sacrifice his beloved son Ismail when God demanded Ismail's life as a sacrifice. Republic Day. One of India's three national festivals, Republic Day commemorates the date January 26, 1950, when India became a republic. This isn't a day for great feasting or festivities, but there's a plenty of patriotism in the air. Basant Panchami. Close on the heels of the harvest festivals of Makar Shankranti, Mak Bihu, Pongal and Lori follows the advent of spring, heralded by the festival of Basant Panchami. Basant Panchami celebrates the end of winter in India and is marked by the worship of the Hindu goddess of learning, Saraswati. Maha Shivratri. Shivratri or Maha Shivratri is traditionally observed by night-long prayers and the worship of the god Shiva, who is believed to have performed the Tandav, the cosmic dance of destruction, preservation and creation on this night. Devotees of Shiva throne Shiva temples through the day, fasting and praying to the deity for salvation from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Raksha Bandhan. Raksha Bandhan affirms a relationship between a sister and brother with the symbolic tying of a thread around the wrist of the brother, whereby the promises to protect her against all harm, while she prays for his well-being. Independence Day. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom, said Jawaharlal Nehru about this, one of the most important days in the history of the Indian nation. On August 15, 1947, India won its independence from British rule, and that independence is celebrated every year, although in a much more subdued form than on Republic Day. Dussehra. Dussehra or Vijayadashami ranks as one of the most important festivals in the Hindu calendar, a celebration of the triumph of good over evil. Rooted in the legend of Ram's defeat of the demon king Ravana, Dussehra reenacts the epic battle in more forms than one. Diwali. One of the India's most popular festivals, Diwali or Deepavali, is the festival of lights, the day when each house, each shop is decorated with hundreds of tiny twinkling clay diyas. It's the day when crackers and fireworks, sweets and goodwill will rule the roost, the day which heralds a new year, greater prosperity and more joy. Vegetation refers to the variety of plants inhabiting a given area, and wildlife includes all animals, whether large or small, herbivores or carnivores, game animals, and also the birds inhabiting a given area, precisely a wild area. Just whole. Does not the term wild area ring something in your mind? Well, wild areas are those areas that are out of the reach or are not frequented, disturbed by human beings, implying thereby that all the species occurring therein are in perfect harmony with nature. They are well adapted to the climate, soil types and the overall geographical condition of that area. In addition, they are capable of surviving and completing their life cycle, one season after the other, all by themselves without any human's care and help. Biogeographic zones and wildlife. A country which occupies just 2% of the total land mass harbors a rich biodiversity comprising of about 5% of the known biodiversity from the world over. The numerical figures of the familiar categories of living organisms would give you a feel of the rich biodiversity that we have in our country. There are about 81,000 species of animals, including 50,000 species of insects and 1,200 species of birds, 45,000 species of various other categories of plants, including 15,000 species of flowering plants. In addition, these species may have several subspecies, which in turn may have countless varieties. All these make the wildlife in India one of the richest in the world. Himalayan. The Himalayan mountain ranges in India stretch for over 2,000 kilometers from arid Mediterranean areas in the west to wet Chinese Malayan areas in the east. The zone covers an area of 236,300 square kilometers in India and forms about 7% of the country's total land surface. The environment here is extremely harsh as there are steep slopes, unconsolidated soils and intense rainfall. Indian desert. This zone is located in the western part of the country and is also known as the Thar Desert. It covers West Gujarat and West Rajasthan. Parts of Punjab and Haryana were once a part of this desert, but the irrigated cultivation have changed the situation there. A tourist can travel by a variety of means. Hence, it is necessary for both the tourist as well as the tourism professional to familiarize themselves with the various modes of transport. Learn the stages of development of various modes of transport, identify the different modes of transport, appreciate the importance of transport in the promotion of tourism, and understand the need of a national transport policy. Transport contributes significantly to our socio-economic needs. Transport industry has acquired a fundamental place in the global network system by facilitating mobility of persons and goods from one place to another through various modes of transportation. Role of hotels. As mentioned earlier, the role of the hotel is to provide the facilities and services needed to assist in the execution of meetings, conventions and expositions. Providing accommodation to the business traveler have to cater to their other requirements. In the past, when people thought about the role of the hotel facility, they thought of rooms and food. Development of means of transport. From the advent of human civilization, the means of transport have been changing accordingly to the development of technology. The propulsive means used as sheer mainly animals on land and sails at sea. Road transport. Road transport is one of the most promising and potent means suitable for short and medium distances. Passenger service. Indian Railways has been steadily bringing about qualitative improvements in passenger train operation. Customer care in tourism. Transportation. The ascent tourism can be seen in terms of mobility or accessibility by various modes of transport. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Travel and tourism products have a number of characteristics which are of relevance to the way in which they are managed. Tours can be within national boundaries or in any place in the world. There are many tourist destinations or places and tourist spots which attract tourists, like heritage and historical tourist spots and religion-based attraction. Or tourists always think of safe, comfortable and convenient mode of transport. The four major modes of transport prevalent in India are road, rail, water and air transport.